And then I had a conversation with somebody on February 14th of 2019. And this was with a man that I respect a lot, like a former Marine, very strong kind of alpha presence. He's actually episode 2 of my podcast. But out of nowhere, he starts talking about his porn addiction and how he was using breathing exercises to kind of overcome and harness some of his sexual energy. And it was the first time I ever had another guy openly confess that he had a problem with pornography. Now, at that point, I'd already been thinking about my own issue. I'd already been kind of researching, like, what is this doing to my brain? Is there a way out of this? How do I find freedom? But I hadn't had a conversation with anybody. It was all kind of internalized. But him sharing what he was going through kind of like gave me the freedom to be like, okay, here's your time, Frank. Like, just see where this conversation is going to go. So it's ironic, it was a day of love there. I was in a relationship at the time, something that, was a very big reason why for me at the beginning, because we were about 2.5 years into our relationship. And it was at the point where it's like, now or never, do or die. Like, is this going to be the future, or are you guys going to part, and go your separate ways? But I knew that if we were really going to pursue moving forward, like, she needed to know the truth. So I made a vow on that day, February 14th, 2019. I'm going to repeat it probably, a few more times here because I think it's so fundamental. I made a vow to Zach. I said, brother, I want to thank you for you sharing this because it's given me the freedom now to talk about my own struggles. And I made a commitment to him. I said, I'm never looking back. I'm committed to removing this thing out of my life. But I need to do 2 things. Zach, I need you to hold me accountable. Will you be my accountability partner? He said, absolutely, brother, anything you need. The second thing I said, I need to let Stephanie know the truth about who I am and what I'm doing. Like, I don't think it was any secret that maybe I watched porn, but I don't think she really understood that it was a porn addiction. So the next day, that morning, I kind of go into my closet at home here, where I had a secret computer. Like, I literally had a computer that nobody else had the password to. The only thing I did was watch pornography on it because of that previous relationship in my early 20s where I'd gotten caught. So I'm like, nobody's ever going to catch me again. So I grab the computer, walk into the room where she's at getting ready for the day. And I'm like, hey, Steph, like, I just, I want to kind of have a conversation with you. She gave me this odd look, like, why are you holding a computer? So I go, I know I probably watch porn, somewhat regularly, but I don't think you really understand the severity of my addiction. And I just put it all out there. I just confessed everything to her. We're both getting extremely emotional. She's breaking down crying. But I'm telling her, like, I'm so committed to getting this out of my life. I'm going to do whatever it can. And I'm going to start by destroying, like, the direct line that I have. And I took the laptop, and it sounds impressive when I say that I destroyed a laptop with my hand, but I just ripped it apart. It's 2 pieces that kind of fold together, but I had 1 piece in each hand. I literally tore it apart down the middle, so that was kind of a cool part of the story. And then, I followed up with Zach, and I knew then, like, I knew that day that something was going to come out of this. I couldn't tell you what it was back then, but I knew that this was going to be a foundational part of the beginning of a new journey for me. So that was February 15th, 2019. Now, those next 3 months, man, like, everything in my life changed. Literally, the way that I saw the world began to change. I understand it now through a neuroscience lens because my brain rebooted and I got free of this addiction. But I said, other people need to know about this. If this has happened to me, like, other people need to hear this story. And that was the genesis for me starting the podcast, The Superhuman Life, is I just wanted to put this story out there in the world. And I saw an opportunity because I was somebody that had achieved things. I was a high performer, competing at a high level bodybuilding, really studying personal development, studying psychology, studying all these high performance principles. If I was still struggling with this addiction, what about the guys that don't have my toolbox? Like, what are they doing? Like, because for me, I don't want to say it was easy, but when I made that decision, like, yeah, it was tough from a discipline and willpower standpoint, but I'd learned all that 10 years competing as a bodybuilder, like how to deny yourself, how to do the thing when it's not what you want to do, how to not give in to temptation to eat a cookie. It's all the same kind of psychological things that had to take place. Certain character traits are necessary, but I had those. But I know that there's millions of men that don't. And that's not a knock at them if I say you don't have the character traits. It's just you haven't put yourself in a position to learn and develop those things. So that's why I started the podcast, was I just needed to put this story out there. I was running Frank Rich Fitness at the time. I was also working for a marketing agency with Rudy Maurer. I think you probably know Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy.
Well, I was working with Rudy. So that was it, man. I didn't see a coaching business. I didn't see anything that we're really doing today other than a place for me to have conversations about my story and my journey and to invite other people on. About 6 months into the podcast, though, like, everything changed, man. Again, like, people went from sending me messages and emails daily, like, thank you for your muscle building tips. Thank you for helping me build 10 pounds of muscle or help me lose 15 pounds of fat, which is great. Like, I love that. I love that I can help somebody change the way that the physique looks. The messages start to be, thank you for your openness. Thank you for your vulnerability to have this conversation. And then, can you help me? And I was like, wait a minute. I don't know if I could help you. Like, I just flipped a switch and kind of decided to change. So I was like, maybe, and this will get us now to like early 2020, right before the pandemic. I was at an event. I was at one of Vince's event, and they were teaching this kind of like, SMS post tactic where you kind of put a post out there. I'm looking for 5 guys that do this and want to achieve this. And I was like, okay, this looks like something. I'm like, let me see. Let me see what happens if I put these. So I literally that week, and like, I put the post out there, threw it up on my Instagram, which my Instagram had only been talking about muscle building at this point. Like, I had no mention of porn, maybe a little bit of my story through the podcast, but it was still about building muscle. And I said, hey, I'm looking for 5 guys that are sick and tired of living with their secret habit and are committed to removing porn out of their life in the next 4 months. I'll personally coach you, provide the support, accountability, and everything you need to reboot your brain. That day, there was $6,000 in my bank account. Not there before, but 6,000 came in like from that post, and it said, okay, shit, now I got to build a program. Like, cause I sold it before I had it developed. Different topic there, marketing concept. But that was it, man. That was the genesis of Rebuilt Recovery, February 2020, landed the first 2 clients. And those clients were really allowed me to build the curriculum in real time, because I got real life feedback. I got real input from, this is working, this isn't working, this didn't make sense this week, can you refine this? And now we've obviously spent the last year and a half, almost 2 years, really perfecting that program. But that's it, man. I don't remember the original question, because I kind of took it all over the place there.
No, that's